The day I finalized the property settlement with my ex-husband, Ethan, I accidentally pressed the wrong button. The $30 million payment from his company's largest client was instantly frozen. My ex-husband was still celebrating shedding me, his dead weight, when his clients were already flooding his phone with calls. Where's the money? The $30 million that was supposed to arrive today? Ethan panicked, and so did his other woman, Sarah. Even Margaret rushed over to plead with me. We're all family, you're being too harsh. I calmly sipped my jasmine tea. Sorry, we're not family anymore. The next day, he knelt at my door, pleading me to let him go. Unfortunately, it was too late. I had already transferred the funds to another account. At the county's office, my marriage certificate had been swapped for a divorce decree. Its glaring color seemed to mock my 3 years of marriage. As I left, Ethan didn't even glance back at me, merely tossing out a casual dismissal. Evelyn, the paperwork's done. The house and car are mine. I'll give you a small portion of the savings as my final act of mercy. Don't contact me again, I don't want you, a dead weight, in my new life. His car sped away, and I stood there, the late summer breeze lifting my long hair but unable to disperse the suffocating feeling in my chest. Dead weight. So, in his heart, I was nothing more than dead weight. I returned to the empty house, or rather, my former home. Everything was still arranged as I remembered, but it felt as cold and impersonal as a sterile showroom. My phone vibrated. It was a text message from Ethan. A photo of him and Sarah clinking champagne glasses in a fancy restaurant, with the caption, "Celebrating new beginnings. Shedding baggage, feeling light and free." Sarah, his sales manager, the woman who always sweetly called me sister-in-law. In the photo, she was nestled in Ethan's arms, smiling triumphantly. Looking at that photo, my stomach churned. In 3 years of marriage, I had stood by him as he transformed from an unknown small-time contractor into a building materials company owner with tens of millions in assets. I leveraged my connections and professional expertise in the bank's risk department to help him mitigate risks, navigate bureaucracy, and even secure his biggest clients. And now, I had become his baggage as he moved towards a wonderful new life. I didn't reply, I just silently saved the photo. Then, I drove to the bank. As a risk management supervisor, reporting personal assets after divorce was a mandatory procedure. I sat in my quiet office, the glow of the computer screen illuminating my bloodless face. I cross-referenced item by item, entered data item by item. Just as I was about to finish work, a familiar company name caught my eye, Vance Building Materials. My fingertips paused on the keyboard, and my heart clenched. This was Ethan's company. According to regulations, I should have recused myself from all business related to my ex-husband. But, compelled by an inexplicable urge, I clicked on the details of the fund flow. A colossal sum of $30 million was poised to be transferred through the risk management channel I oversaw, into Vance Building Materials' account. The payer was his company's largest client, the same real estate group I had worked so hard to connect him with. My breath caught in my throat. I thoroughly investigated the ins and outs of this transaction. Every record, every step, was clearly laid out before me. I was shocked to discover that this crucial payment was entirely dependent on the bank system I managed. Ethan, he hadn't even bothered to switch to a more secure payment channel. Was it because he thought I, his ex-wife, was now worthless and posed no threat? Or did he simply not hold me in any regard, believing I would just tearfully accept the divorce? My phone vibrated again. It was Ethan. "Evelyn, I forgot to tell you, Mother really likes the old sofa at TH. E-house. I'll have Sarah pick it up tomorrow, please cooperate. Oh, and by the way, don't ever say you know me again. I'd be embarrassed to know you." Scornful, arrogant, cutting. This was the man I had loved for 5 years, my husband for 3. I truly wondered what I had ever seen in him. I looked at the $30 million figure on the screen, then at his message, and a bone-chilling cold shot from my feet to the top of my head. I smiled. Tears slipped uncontrollably down my face, but my eyes instantly sharpened with calm resolve. My fingers flew across the keyboard, calmly analyzing every step of the risk control process. Then, in the system, I set a maximum level risk control alert for this $30 million transaction. Reason: suspected commercial fraud, suspicious fund origins, and high-risk recipient account. After doing all this, I pressed enter. A bright red dialog box popped up on the screen, funds frozen. Awaiting manual review for release. I leaned back in my chair and let out a long breath. Almost simultaneously, my personal phone rang. I didn't answer. Immediately after, my office phone rang too. I still didn't answer. I knew who was on the other end. At this very moment, Ethan was probably embracing his other woman, at the height of their celebration, waiting for that 30 million to hit his account so they could plan their wonderful future. And now, his sweet dream had shattered. I shut down my computer and walked out of the bank building. The night wind brought a touch of coolness, but I felt clearer than ever before. Ethan, this is just the beginning. I'm going to make you personally experience what it feels like to fall from grace into hell. Back home, I brewed a pot of fine jasmine tea. The fragrant steam of the tea curled upwards, dispelling the chill in the room and soothing my churning emotions. My phone vibrated frantically on the table, Ethan's name on the screen like a pathetic clown. I let it ring until it automatically disconnected. A few seconds later, an unfamiliar number called. I swiped to answer and put it on speakerphone. Evelyn. You bitch. What did you do? Why are the funds frozen? Ethan's roar came through the earpiece, making my ears ring. In the background, Sarah's sharp cries could be heard. Ethan, what do we do? The client says if they don't get the money today, they'll sue us for breach of contract. The penalty is 3 times the total contract value. Shut up. Ethan yelled at her, then pleaded with me over the phone. Evelyn, I was wrong. I was drunk and talking nonsense earlier. Please don't take it to heart. Quickly unfreeze the money. It's really important for the company. I picked up my cup, gently blew on the floating tea leaves, my voice calm and even. Mr. Ethan, I think you're mistaken. We're already divorced. Evelyn, don't push your luck. Do you believe I'll? Before he could finish his threat, I hung up. Then, I blocked his number. The world grew quiet. I sipped my tea, enjoying the night view outside the window. My mood inexplicably improved. About half an hour later, the doorbell rang incessantly. I looked through the peephole. It was Mother, my imperious ex-mother-in-law. Her face was anxious, her hair a bit disheveled. Gone was the domineering attitude she usually displayed in front of me. I didn't open the door. She started banging frantically on the heavy front door, her voice tinged with tears. Evelyn. Open the door, Evelyn. Mom knows she was wrong. Please open the door. Ethan is being foolish, don't take it to heart. We're all family, you're being too harsh. As long as you unfreeze the money, Mom will agree to anything. Come back, we'll go back to how things were. I'll make Ethan break up with the other woman. Family? I scoffed aloud. How did she once point her finger at me, shouting insults, telling me that I was barren and worthless, just holding my son back from a brilliant future? How did she conspire with Ethan to secretly transfer our marital assets, just to leave me with nothing in the divorce? Now, for money, she was playing the role of the loving mother again. Unfortunately, I wasn't the pushover I had been 3 years ago, easily manipulated by them. I walked to the door, and through the heavy front door, I spoke coldly. Sorry, we're not family anymore. The crying outside instantly stopped. This was followed by more violent banging and curses. Evelyn, you ungrateful wretch. Our family was blind to ever marry you. You'll get what's coming to you. You'll die a terrible death. I couldn't be bothered to listen anymore, so I put on my headphones and turned on some music. The next morning, I drew open the curtains, and the scene below nearly made me laugh aloud. Ethan, the company owner who had been full of swagger yesterday, was now kneeling pitifully at the entrance of my apartment building. His suit was wrinkled, his hair greasy and plastered to his forehead, his eyes bloodshot, his face filled with despair and defeat. Many early morning neighbors, out for their exercises, had gathered around, pointing and whispering about him. Isn't that the son-in-law from the Ethan family on the 3rd floor? Why is he kneeling here? I heard his wife kicked him out. It seems he was seeing someone else. TSK, he looks respectable, but who knew he was this kind of person? Ethan buried his head low, his body trembling slightly from shame and anger. He saw me appear at the window, and a glimmer of hope instantly ignited in his eyes. Like a drowning man grasping at a straw, he shouted at me. Evelyn, I beg you, please let me go. I truly know I was wrong. As he yelled, he forcefully slapped his own face. Slap, slap, slap. The loud sounds were particularly jarring in the morning air. I watched him expressionlessly. I watched this man, whom I once looked up to and deeply loved, now groveling on the ground like a dog, begging for mercy. There was not a ripple in my heart, only the satisfaction of avenge. I drew the curtains, cutting off his view. Ethan, your honor, your dignity, means nothing to me. I slowly finished my makeup and changed into a crisp professional business attire before heading downstairs. The moment Ethan saw me, he lunged forward, trying to grab my leg. I recoiled in disgust, avoiding his touch. He knelt on the ground, looking up at me. Overnight, He seemed to have aged 10 years. Evelyn, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I shouldn't have betrayed you, shouldn't have said those awful things. Please forgive me, okay? Let's get remarried. I'll break up with Sarah immediately. His voice was hoarse, tears and snot streaked his face, making him look both pathetic and ridiculous. The company can't survive without that money. The client has issued an ultimatum. If the money isn't in the account by noon today, they'll initiate breach of contract procedures. The company will be completely ruined. I looked down at him, my gaze icy. What does whether your company is ruined or not have to do with me? He froze, seemingly unprepared for my coldness. Evelyn, how can you be so heartless? We were husband and wife, after all. Husband and wife? I sneered. When you and Sarah were sleeping together, when you were plotting how to kick me out, did you ever think of us as husband and wife? I left him speechless, his face turning various shades of green and white. I walked around him, preparing to go to the garage to get my car. He suddenly scrambled up from the ground and frantically blocked my path. Where's the money? Where did that 30 million go? Give me my money back. I stopped, took a document from my bag, and handed it to him. Don't worry, I transferred the money to another account for you. Want it back? Not so easy. He snatched the document and quickly scanned it. When he saw its content, his pupils constricted sharply, and all color instantly drained from his face. It was a debt assignment contract. It clearly stated that Vance Building M. Materials owed a debt of $30 million, and the current creditor was me, Evelyn. What is this? His voice trembled. Can't you read? I kindly explained. To get that real estate project, you were short on cash and borrowed $30 million from loan sharks. You originally planned to repay this sum with the client's supply payment. Unfortunately, the client's money was frozen by me. And while you were celebrating your new beginning, I conveniently bought your debt. I looked at his pale face, speaking each word distinctly. So, Ethan, now it's not me who owes you, but you who owes me $30 million. With interest, of course. He stood rooted to the spot as if struck by lightning, the contract fluttering to the ground from his hand. No, impossible. How could you know? How could I know? Not only did I know that, but I also knew he bought Sarah a $500,000 designer handbag with company money to please her. I also knew how much gambling debt he'd paid off for his worthless brother behind my back. These were all things I had once turned a blind eye to, unwilling to dwell on. I thought my tolerance would earn his appreciation. Now, it seemed, it only emboldened his audacity and worsened his behavior. What do you want? He finally snapped out of his shock, screaming at me. We're divorced. Why won't you let go of me? What do I want? I smiled, a radiant yet ice-cold smile. I want you to have nothing. With that, I stopped looking at him and walked directly to the garage. Behind me, his desperate and frantic roars echoed. The roles of hunter and prey had completely inverted in that moment. And I was the hunter, holding the rifle, holding all the cards. I sat in my office, leisurely working through my tasks. Before long, my assistant knocked and entered, a strange expression on her face. Supervisor, someone's downstairs asking for you, from your ex-husband's company. I raised an eyebrow. Who? A Ms. Lynn. She says her name is Sarah. Perfect timing. Send her up. A few minutes later, Sarah stormed into my office, her heels clicking loudly. She slammed a designer handbag heavily onto my desk, her eyes red as she glared at me. Evelyn, you viper. What did you do to Ethan? Why does he owe $30 million? I leaned back in my chair, watching her coolly. Today, she lacked her usual sweet demeanor. Her makeup was smudged, making her look like a cat with its fur bristling. Miss Sarah, I think you're mistaken. First, Ethan and I are divorced. His affairs are none of my business. Second, he's the one in debt, not me. You should go find him, not make a scene here. You're lying. Sarah shrieked. If you hadn't frozen the company's money, how would Ethan not be able to pay off his debt? This was all your plan, wasn't it? I neither admitted nor denied anything, just looked at her calmly. Miss Sarah, did you come here just to question me about this? If so, you can leave, I'm very busy. My indifference completely enraged her. Evelyn, don't be so smug. Ethan said he'll sell his house and car, he'll sell everything he owns to pay off the debt. He loves me. You barren hen, you should have been discarded long ago. Her words were like a poisoned dagger, plunging deeply into my heart. A barren hen. That was Mother's favorite insult for me too. In 3 years of marriage, we had no children. After a hospital examination, the doctor said I had some issues that needed slow treatment. From then on, it became my greatest sin in the Ethan family. I took a deep breath, suppressing the bitterness in my heart, but a knowing smile appeared on my face. Is that so? He truly loves you that much? I took out my phone, opened a photo, and pushed it across to her. Do you recognize this woman? In the photo, Ethan was embracing a young, seductive woman in a karaoke bar private room, their gestures intimate, his face smirking lewdly. This photo was sent to me a few days ago by a friend who works in entertainment. At the time, I only felt disgusted, but now it had come in handy. Sarah's face instantly turned ashen. She stared intently at the photo, her body trembling uncontrollably. No, when was this? Just last week, I said lightly. That day, he told you he was going on a business trip out of town, didn't he? The last trace of color drained from Sarah's face. All the strength seemed to drain from her as she slumped into the chair, murmuring to herself. Liar. He's a liar. I stood up and walked over to her, looking down. Miss Sarah, do you think you've won? Do you think what you snatched from me was some rare treasure? You're wrong. What you took was merely trash that I had already discarded. A selfish, deceitful, irresponsible man. If he could betray me for you today, he can betray you for another woman tomorrow. You keep saying he loves you, yet he hid the fact that he owed huge sums to loan sharks from you. Do you think that's love? Every word I spoke was like a heavy hammer, striking Sarah's heart. She suddenly looked up, her eyes filled with hatred and madness. But that hatred was no longer directed at me, but at the man who had deceived her. She grabbed her bag from the table and stormed out like a whirlwind. I could imagine Vance Building Materials would be in an absolute uproar today. Indeed, that afternoon, I received an unfamiliar call. On the other end was a girl who identified herself as an employee of Vance Building Materials. Evelyn, this is Lily from the company's finance department. The company is in trouble. Her voice was tearful. After return today, she had a huge fight with Mr. Ethan and trashed the office. Then many employees heard rumors that the company owed loan sharks and was on the verge of bankruptcy, so they all demanded their final pay and resigned. Suppliers also heard the news and all showed up to collect debts, blocking the company's main entrance. Mr. Ethan is overwhelmed and can't handle it at all. I listened quiet. Feeling no sympathy whatsoever. This was exactly what Ethan deserved. A dog-eat-dog fight. I looked at the clear sky outside the window, my mood incredibly light. This show was getting more and more exciting. Things escalated even faster than I expected. The next day, Mother sought me out again. This time, she didn't make a scene downstairs but arranged a meeting time through my assistant. We met at a coffee shop near the office. She looked much more haggard, and there were even streaks of gray in her temples. She sat across from me, her demeanor humble. Evelyn, Mom is begging you. Please let Ethan go. As soon as she spoke, tears welled up. The company is a complete mess now. Sarah, the other woman, is also demanding to break up and ran off with the last bit of money from the company account. Ethan. He's on the verge of collapse. I stirred the coffee in my cup, saying nothing. I know, we wronged you. It was my fault. I used to say hurtful things. Ethan was a scoundrel, finding the other woman. She took a document from her bag and pushed it towards me. This is the property deed for the house under Ethan's name, and the stock transfer agreement for his company. As long as you agree to withdraw that debt, these will all be yours. Although the company is in chaos now, its foundation is still solid. With your help, it can definitely be revived. She watched me cautiously, her eyes full of pleading. Using property and company shares to win my forgiveness. That would be a good deal. But I knew that behind this was her last struggle as a mother to save her son. And would Ethan agree? I looked at her, deliberately asking, is this Ethan's idea? Her gaze faltered for a moment, then she nodded firmly. Yes, it's his idea. He knows he was wrong, he wants to compensate you. I smiled. This old woman was still lying, even now. But, this was exactly what I wanted. I picked up the document and nodded. All right, I'll consider it. However, I need to hear Ethan's Apollo. GY myself. No problem. No problem, she agreed repeatedly, as if afraid I would change my mind. We agreed to meet the next day in my office for a three-way discussion. After seeing Mother off, I immediately called Ethan. This was the first time I had contacted him voluntarily since our divorce. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered, his voice on the other end filled with exhaustion and hoarseness. Hello? Ethan, it's me. He was silent for a moment, his tone wary. What do you want now? Tomorrow morning at 10, come to my office. Your mother has a big surprise for me. With that, I hung up. I could imagine the furious look on Ethan's face on the other end of the phone. The next morning, as soon as I arrived at the office, Ethan stormed in, enraged. Behind him, Mother followed, her face full of apprehension. Evelyn. What do you mean? Ethan pointed at me, his eyes shooting daggers. What did you tell my mother? Why would she go behind my back and give you the house and the shares? Before I could speak, he turned to his mother, beginning to roar frantically. Mom, are you crazy? That's my only house. The company is my life's work. How could you give it to this bitch? I'm your son. How can you help an outsider against me? Mother trembled, tears streaming down her face from his yelling. Ethan, Mom is doing this for your own good. The company is falling apart, only Evelyn can save you. I don't need her to save me. I'd rather die than ask her. I watched this mother-son feud coldly, finding it incredibly ironic. Then, I stood up and walked to Mother, gently patting her shoulder. Mother, thank you for your understanding and support. I believe our cooperation will be very pleasant. My voice was not loud, but it clearly reached Ethan's ears. He looked at us in disbelief, his gaze shifting from anger to bone-deep despair. In his eyes, even his dearest mother had betrayed him and joined my side. Fine. Fine. You're all just great. He pointed a. T.S., trembling with rage, unable to utter a word. Mother cried as she reached for his hand. Ethan, let Mom explain. Get lost. Ethan violently threw her hand away and stormed out of my office. Mother stumbled from his push, nearly falling. She looked at her son's resolute back and finally burst into tears. I watched quietly, without a trace of pity. Isolated and abandoned. This was the second big surprise I gave Ethan. Sarah had run off with the money, his mother had betrayed him, and his company was falling apart. Now, he was truly completely alone. I was very curious how he would manage to hold on next. Ethan appeared before me again 3 days later, on a rainy night. He didn't make an appointment, nor did he yell downstairs, he just knelt silently outside my company building, letting the cold rain soak him through. The security guards tried to chase him away several times, but he remained motionless, like a soulless statue. When I finished work, he saw me and struggled to stand up, but having knelt for too long, his legs buckled, and he fell heavily back to the ground. This time, there was no anger or resentment in his eyes, only a deathly stillness and utter despair. I walked up to him, holding my umbrella. Evelyn. He looked up, rain and tears mingling as they streamed down his gaunt cheeks. I was wrong, I truly know I was wrong. His voice was terribly hoarse. My company is gone, my money is gone, Sarah ran away, even Mother is gone. Now, I have nothing. I beg you, please give me a way out. Anything you want, I'll do it if you just let me go. He prostrated himself on the ground, bowing his head to me. Again and again, his forehead quickly broke open, seeping blood. I watched this man, who once stood high above me, treating me like dirt, now humbled to dust. Yet, my heart was unusually calm, even a little empty. The thrill of revenge, at this moment, seemed to have turned hollow. You want me to let you go? Fine, I finally said, my voice as cold as the rainy night air. But you have to agree to a few conditions. He looked up sharply, a faint glimmer of hope rekindled in his eyes. Tell me. Not just a few, I'll agree to hundreds. First, I held up a finger, you must post a public apology video on all major social media platforms, admitting to your marital infidelity and betrayal of our marriage. His face instantly went ashen. Second, I continued, you need to release a public statement detailing all the help and support I provided during your entrepreneurial journey, clarifying the rumors you and your mother spread about me being dead weight. Third, and most importantly, sign this statement, acknowledging your contempt for my contributions to my career, and compensate me for emotional distress. I took another document from my bag. This was something I had my lawyer draft long ago. Ethan looked at me, his lips trembling, unable to speak. Any one of these conditions would be enough to cause his social ruin, to ensure he could never hold his head high again. This was a spiritual execution. I looked at his struggling expression and said calmly, you don't have to agree. Then, tomorrow morning, your creditor will change from me to the real loan sharks. I imagine their methods will be far gentler than mine. That sentence was the final straw. The light in his eyes completely extinguished. He knew he had no choice. I agree. He forced out these 3 words through gritted teeth. Humiliated, unwilling, yet utterly helpless. I tossed the umbrella and the document in front of him. Sign it, and by sunrise tomorrow, I want to see your apology video online. With that, I turned and walked away, not looking back. The rain washed over the city's neon lights, and over a man's last shred of dignity. The next day, the internet exploded. Ethan's apology video went viral across all major platforms. In the video, he wore the same soaked suit from yesterday, his eyes red and swollen, his face gaunt. He read the SCR. I had prepared for him, word for word, into the camera. Hello everyone, I am Ethan. Today, I am recording this video to offer my sincerest apology to my ex-wife, Ms. Evelyn. During my marriage to Ms. Evelyn, I betrayed our relationship and had an inappropriate affair with a company employee, Sarah. This severely hurt Ms. Evelyn and destroyed our family. For this, I feel immense shame and regret. At the same time, I also want to clarify a fact. My company's current success would not have been possible without Ms. Evelyn's help. It was she who, with her professional knowledge and connections, helped me overcome one difficulty after another. Yet, I was ungrateful, and even joined my family in spreading rumors that she was dead weight, severely damaging her reputation. I am a complete scumbag, a despicable human being. At the end of the video, he stood up and bowed deeply to the camera. The moment the video was released, public opinion erupted. The comment section was filled with condemnation and curses against him. Holy cow, this guy is such a scumbag. His wife helped him get rich, and he turns around and calls her dead weight. Sarah? Is that the heavily made-up influencer who always flaunts luxury goods online? So she was the other woman, disgusting. Support. Evelyn. This kind of scumbag deserves to have his reputation ruined completely. My heart goes out to Evelyn, good thing she cut her losses early. You go, girl. Overnight, Ethan became a public enemy, a pariah. And I became an object of sympathy and support. Many people thought that this was where the story should end. Ethan had paid the price, and I had gotten my revenge. Perhaps I would soften and let him off the hook. Even himself probably thought so. He sent me a text message, his tone utterly submissive. Evelyn, I've done everything you asked. Please, show some mercy and let me live. I looked at the message, a cold smirk playing on my lips. I opened my computer and sent another document. I had long prepared to several well-connected financial media journalists. It contained irrefutable evidence of Ethan's company's asset transfers, fraudulent accounting, deception of creditors, and tax evasion over the past few years. Every ledger entry, every contract, was clear and undeniable. After doing all this, I sent Ethan one last message. The long arm of the law misses nothing. Go explain it to the police. Half an hour later, the headlines of major financial news outlets were dominated by reports of Vance Building Materials suspected of serious economic crimes, founder Ethan taken in for police investigation. Watching the news, seeing Ethan's pathetic figure in handcuffs, being escorted into a police car, a surge of vengeful satisfaction filled my heart. But at the same time, there was a complex taste to it. I had destroyed him, and I had also destroyed everything we once shared. Was it truly worth it? I sat in my empty office, feeling a flicker of doubt for the first time about what I had thought was perfect revenge. Just when I thought all was settled, an unexpected discovery led to a stunning reversal in the entire incident. The captain of the economic investigation team responsible for Ethan's case was Henry, my university senior. During a private meeting, he inadvertently revealed a piece of information to me. Evelyn, your ex-husband might have been set up by someone else. I froze. Henry told me that while investigating Sarah's financial movements, they uncovered a shocking secret. The money Sarah took from the company wasn't squandered by her. Instead, it was transferred into an offshore account. The actual controller of that account was the owner of another building materials company, and Ethan's biggest business rival, William. We checked Sarah's communication records and found that she had frequent contact with William even before she approached Ethan. We have reason to suspect that Sarah was, from the very beginning, a pawn planted by Will. I am at Ethan's side. Henry's words were like a flash of lightning, parting the fog in my mind. I instantly understood many things. Why could Sarah, a mere sales supervisor, harbor such great ambition and cunning? Why did she always sow discord between Ethan and me at the most critical moments? Why was she able to precisely empty all liquid funds from the account immediately after the company ran into trouble? It turned out, behind her, there had always been a mastermind pulling the strings. William's objective was clear. He knew my influence in the financial world, knew I was Ethan's biggest asset in his career. So, he orchestrated this a honey trap, aiming to destroy our marriage and make Ethan lose me, my biggest asset. Then, by exploiting the debt crisis, he planned to pull the rug out from under him, ultimately swallowing up his market share and client resources at the lowest cost. What a move, kill two birds with one stone. I sat in a coffee shop, silent for a long time. My heart was a mix of emotions. I had always thought I was the mastermind of this revenge game. I didn't expect that I was also just a pawn on someone else's chessboard. William used my anger and desire for revenge, easily achieving his goals through my actions. A strong wave of anger at being manipulated washed over me. But after the anger, came an even deeper calm. Because no matter what conspiracy lay behind it, the fact that Ethan betrayed our marriage and hurt me would not change. He still had to pay the price for his foolishness and greed. However, William, who was hiding in the shadows and playing everyone like puppets, absolutely could not be allowed to get away with it. I looked at Henry, my gaze firm once more. Henry, for this case, can I apply to participate as the victim's representative? He looked at me, a little surprised, but then smiled knowingly. I knew you wouldn't let it go. A revenge plot against a scumbag unexpectedly escalated into a battle between justice and evil. And I decided to turn his own scheme against him, letting the true mastermind taste the bitter fruit of his own actions. I went to the local jail and met Ethan. In just half a month, he had become emaciated, his eyes hollow, like a puppet whose soul had been drained. Only when he saw me did a flicker of life return to his eyes, but it was mostly complicated emotions, hatred, regret, and fear. Why are you here? To gloat? He gave a self-deprecating laugh. I ignored his emotions and got straight to the point. Sarah is William's person, did you know that? He abruptly looked up, his face full of disbelief. What did you say? I calmly recounted everything Henry had told me, along with some clues I had uncovered myself. After listening, he sat there stunned, like an idiot. After a long silence, he let out a bitter, piercing laugh. Ha 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 ha. So that's how it is. I was the biggest fool all along. He pounded his head with his fists, his face filled with regret and pain. I betrayed you for that woman, destroyed our home, and in the end, I was just a pawn in someone else's hands. I deserve to die. I'm utterly worthless. He cried like a child, tears and snot streaming down his face. I watched him quietly, my heart completely unmoved. Those deserving of pity often have something contemptible about them. If he hadn't been so weak-willed and infatuated with beauty, how could anyone have taken advantage of him? Only after his emotions had somewhat calmed did I speak again. Now, an opportunity lies before you. William's ultimate goal is to take over your company. Now that your company is leaderless, it's the perfect time for him to strike. I can help you save your company, and even help you reduce your sentence. But I need you to cooperate with me. He raised his bloodshot eyes and looked at me, full of suspicion. Cooperate? You'll help me? I'm not helping you, I corrected him. I'm helping myself. William used me as a pawn, and I have to settle accounts with him. Besides, my help comes with conditions. What conditions? I want 51% of your company's equity. He froze. 51% meant absolute controlling interest in the company. From now on, I would be calling the shots. He looked at me for a very long time. Finally, he gave a bitter smile and nodded. All right, I agree. He had already lost everything, so what did controlling interest matter? To him, saving his life and seeing William get what he deserved was already the best outcome. Just like that, my ex-husband, whom I hated to the core, and I formed a highly unusual partnership. In the days that followed, I leveraged all my connections and resources to thoroughly investigate William. Ethan, with his knowledge of the building materials industry and his familiarity with William, also provided me with many crucial leads. We began to work together as we once had. Only, our states of mind were now worlds apart. During our collaboration, he saw countless times how I would stay up late for a piece of data, how I would repeatedly strategize with the legal team for a single piece of evidence. He witnessed my professionalism, my resilience, my wisdom. And finally, he understood how foolish and short-sighted he had been. Once, he sent me a message through his lawyer. Evelyn, I'm sorry. I only now understand what I truly lost. I simply smiled faintly when I saw that message. Ethan, it's too late. In this world, regret is the most useless emotion. There's no going back for us. Everything I did was for justice, not for love. With inside help and my external efforts, William's true colors were quickly revealed. We discovered that he was not only involved in commercial bribery and unfair competition, but also secretly manipulated stock prices for illegal profit. Each charge was a serious felony, enough to land him in prison for a long time. I compiled all the evidence into a comprehensive report and anonymously submitted it to the relevant authorities. This T.I. me, the response was swift and decisive. William's business empire collapsed overnight. He, along with the core members of his criminal syndicate, were all arrested. Sarah, as an important witness, also revealed more unknown secrets in exchange for leniency. The truth was brought to light. Due to Ethan's significant contribution and his voluntary repayment of all evaded taxes, his sentence was ultimately reduced, and he was sentenced to 3 years in prison, with a 4-year suspended sentence. This meant he wouldn't have to go to jail. On the day of the verdict, I saw him in the courtroom spectator gallery. He was thinner than before, but his eyes held a newfound calmness and relief. He looked at me from across the crowd, then bowed deeply. I didn't respond, simply turned and walked out of the courthouse. The sunlight fell upon me, warm and inviting. I took a deep breath, feeling as if the huge boulder that had weighed on my heart for so long had finally been lifted. This war, which had lasted for months, had finally come to an end. The wicked had been punished, and justice had been served. And I, too, had completed my transformation in this war. My name became well known throughout the financial and legal circles. Many praised my professionalism, wisdom, and sense of justice. Only I knew that my initial motivation was merely born of an unwilling desire for revenge. But now, none of that mattered. What mattered was that I had upheld my principles and found a new direction. After the case concluded, I received a long letter. It was from Ethan. In the letter, he no longer defended himself, nor did he beg for my forgiveness. He simply calmly recounted the entire process from our acquaintance to falling in love, and then to hurting each other. He admitted his selfishness, vanity, and foolishness. He also acknowledged my contributions and my positive qualities. Evelyn, thank you for finally pulling me back, preventing me from falling into an abyss of no return. N. D. Thank you for using the cruelest method to make me fully aware. I know we can never go back. I don't wish for your forgiveness, I just hope you can let go of the past and start a new life. From now on, I will use the rest of my life to atone for the pain I caused you. Although, such atonement may be meaningless. I wish you eternal happiness. I finished reading the letter and quietly put it away. My heart was a mix of emotions. I didn't reply to him. Some things, once they're in the past, let them stay there. Forgiving him wasn't for him, it was for myself. I didn't want hatred to define my life. I submitted a transfer request to the bank's corporate headquarters. I wanted to leave this city, which held too many painful memories, and start a new life in a completely new place. Headquarters quickly approved my request, and due to my outstanding performance in this case, I was directly promoted to regional management. The day I left, the weather was beautiful. I didn't tell anyone. Alone, I stood with my suitcase by the floor-to-ceiling window at the airport, watching planes take off and land. My heart felt a peace and relief I had never known before. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, my unspeakable past. 6 months later. New City, Manhattan, One Trade Center. I stood by the huge floor-to-ceiling window of my office, looking down at the bustling metropolis. As the newly appointed regional management for the East region, I was busy spinning like a top every day. But this busyness made me feel incredibly fulfilled and satisfied. My professional competence and integrity earned me the respect and recognition of all my colleagues and clients. I was no longer someone's wife or someone's accessory. I was just me, Evelyn. An independent, confident, and powerful professional woman. Occasionally, I would hear news of Ethan from old friends. I heard he no longer worked in the building materials business, but had gone to a secluded rural community to do charity work, helping children there attend school. I heard he had changed a lot, becoming more silent, humble, and grounded. Friends asked me if I regretted it. If I had chosen to forgive him back then, perhaps things would have been different now. I just smiled. There are no ifs in life. I never regretted any decision I made. That painful experience was like a tempering fire, burning away my innocence and weakness, and forging my current strength and sharpness. It made me realize that true victory isn't about crushing your enemies, but about standing taller yourself and seeing a broader horizon. My phone rang, it was a new project email. I pulled back my thoughts and turned towards my desk. The sunlight outside the window was just right. And so was my future. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.